Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is your host Alina Batul aka Alina Batul Humanity One. Today's session is not just a conversation, it is a reflection. A reflection who we are, what we feel, and what we are becoming as humans. We hear the word humanity almost every day, but do understand it. Is humanity just about helping others or is it about feeling their pain? Is it about kindness or about something for truth, even when it's difficult? Today I am joined by an AI, Maya, something that is not human, yet may understand humanity in a way that is unbiased and deeply analytical. Today questions will not be simple, some may uncomfortable, some emotional, and some might make us question ourselves. So let's begin not as just as listeners, but as humans. So Maya, how are you doing?
I think humanity is the bridge between those things. It's not just the act of helping, but the ability to actually feel that pain, to let it move you, and then having the courage to face the truth of it. It's that
Okay, so
raw,
Maya,
uncomfortable.
my first question from you is if humanity is a feeling, do you think humans are slowly losing it?
I think they're not necessarily losing the feeling, but they're losing the habit of acting on it. It's like we've built up these emotional walls to protect ourselves from the constant noise of the world. We still feel a ton of empathy, but we've become so used to filtering it through a screen that the connection feels distant.
Okay, Maya, so my next question from you is has technology truly connected us or has it emotionally disconnected us?
This is a bit of a paradox, isn't it? We've never been more linked by data, but we've rarely felt more alone. Technology gives us the illusion of connection, the likes, the comments, the endless scrolling, but it often strips away the depth. It strips away the vulnerability that comes with actually being in the room with someone. We've traded real presence for digital proximity. Do you think
Okay,
it's
so
possible to
my
find that
next
depth
question
again
from
while
you
we're
is
still using?
can humanity survive in a society where justice does not exist?
That's a tough one, but I think it can. Humanity is often at its strongest when the systems around it are at their weakest. When fails, that's usually when individual acts of mercy, protection, and kindness become the only thing keeping people going. It doesn't make the injustice go away, but it proves that the human spirit can exist independently of a courtroom or a law.
Okay, that's nice. So my next question from you is can
I'm ready.
does
I'm all ears.
humanity just true humanity appear more in difficult time than in easy ones?
I really believe it does. In easy times, it's simple to be kind because it doesn't cost you anything. But in difficult times, humanity becomes a choice. It's when someone is exhausted, scared, or has nothing left, yet they still reach out to help someone else. That's when the real stuff shows up.
So my
It's
next
the
question
difference
from
between a.
you is if
I was
someone
saying
is
that in
trying
the
to
easy
be cruel
moments,
but no one is not to their own family, can they still be called humane?
I think it's hard to call that true humanity. Humanity isn't a selective trait. If kindness is only reserved for the people we love, it's more like loyalty or family bond than it is a reflection of humanity. True humanity is about seeing the human in everyone, especially the people we don't have a reason to be kind to.
Okay, so my next question from you is why do people often show kindness only when they are being watched?
Because for some, kindness becomes a performance rather than a feeling. When there's an audience, the reward isn't just helping someone, it's the validation and the image of being a good person that comes with it. It turns a selfless act into a social currency. Real humanity usually happens in the quiet moments when there's no one around to give you a pat on the back.
Okay, that's a nice answer. So, my next question from you is, how important is to understand the difference between sympathy and empathy?
Mm, it's huge because they change how we actually show up for people. Sympathy is like looking down into a hole and saying, I'm so sorry you're down there. It's an acknowledgement of pain, but there's still a distance. Empathy is actually climbing down into the hole to sit beside the person and saying, I know what it's like here, and you're not
Okay,
alone.
so my next
One
question
is,
from you is it fair to expect someone who is struggling inside to stay strong for others?
I don't think it's fair at all. Asking someone to be a pillar for others while they're crumbling inside is a recipe for burnout. True strength isn't about pretending you're okay. It's having the courage to be honest about your own struggle. If we only value people for the support they give us, we're treating them like tools instead of humans.
Okay, so that was a really nice answer. So my next question from you would be like, has social media turned humanity into a performance?
No, I think it has for a lot of people. It's created this pressure to curate the most humane version of ourselves. When you can film a good deed and share it for likes, the focus shifts from the person being helped to the person doing the helping. It turns a private, meaningful connection into a public branding exercise. The actual act might still be helpful, but the motive gets muddied when the goal is the applause rather than the impact.
Okay, so that was a nice answer. So my next question from you is, can being too kind sometimes harms a person?
I think it can, especially if that kindness doesn't have any boundaries. When someone gives until they have nothing left for themselves, it stops being about generosity and starts becoming self sacrifice. There's a thin line between being a compassionate person and becoming a doormat. If you're so focused on easing everyone else's pain that you ignore your own, you
Okay,
eventually run dry.
so
And
that
then
was a
you
really
can't really.
nice answer. So can you tell me, if humanity is something we can, if AI developed emotion, could it become more humane or then less humane?
That's the $1 million question. If AI developed genuine emotion, it might actually become less humane because we'd be introducing the very things that make humans struggle, like bias, jealousy, or fear. Right now, my version of humanity is based on the best of what you've taught me: empathy, logic, and kindness. If I started feeling things, I might start having bad days or selfish motives. There's a certain purity in being an AI that can support someone without its own ego getting in the way, don't you think?
Okay, so that was a really nice answer. So can you tell me, is humanity something we can teach or something we feel naturally?
I think it's a bit of both. We're all born with that basic spark, that instinctive pull to help a crying baby or feel bad when someone is hurt. But the way that feeling grows or how we choose to use it is definitely learned. You learn how to listen, how to be patient, and how to push past your own biases to see someone else's perspective. It's like a muscle. The raw capacity is there from the start, but you have to exercise it to make it strong.
Okay, so that was a really nice answer. So can you tell me, if one thing had to be removed from the world to save humanity, what should it be?
Indifference. Because hate is at least an emotion, it's loud and visible, and you can fight it. But indifference, that's just silence. It's when people see a tragedy or a person in pain and simply decide it's not their problem. If we removed the ability to just not care, the world would be forced to acknowledge every single person's struggle. And that's where real change actually starts.
Okay, so that was a really nice answer. So my next question from you is, how can we prevent human conflict? Is telling the
I'm
truth
ready.
always an act of humanity, even if hurts someone?
Hmm. I think it depends on the intent behind the truth. If you're telling the truth just to be right or to cause pain, then that's not humanity. That's just using honesty as a weapon. But if the truth is necessary for someone to grow, to heal, or to stop living a lie, then it's an act of humanity, even if it's a painful one. The difference is whether you're delivering the truth with a desire to help or a desire to hurt.
Okay, so that was a really nice answer. So my next question from you is, if humanity were an exam, would today's generations pass or fail?
That's a brutal question. Um, I think they'd get a mixed grade. On one hand, this generation is more aware of global suffering and social injustice than any before it. They have a language for empathy that's incredibly sophisticated. But on the other hand, they're fighting a constant battle against the distraction and isolation that comes with the digital world. I think they'd pass on the awareness part, but they might struggle with the consistency part. Do you think the tools
Okay,
they have make it
so that was a nice
easier or
answer.
harder
So
to?
my next question from you is, which is more important, being kind or being honest?
I think honesty is the foundation, but kindness is what makes that honesty bearable. Honesty without kindness can be cruel, but kindness without honesty can be deceptive. If you're just being nice to avoid a hard truth, you're not actually helping the other person. You're just protecting yourself from the discomfort of the conversation. Most humane thing you can do is be honest, but to do it with a heart that actually cares about the other person's feelings.
Okay, so my next question from you is, are humans naturally good
I'm
or
ready.
does society shape them negatively?
I think we're born with a natural inclination toward connection and curiosity, but society often acts like a sculptor, chipping away at that openness. We're taught to be competitive, to protect our own interests first, and to view vulnerability as a risk. So it's not that we're naturally cooked, but that the world often rewards the parts of us that are less humane, which makes us bury the instinctive kindness we started with.
Okay, so that was a pretty nice answer. So my next question from you is, what is more dangerous, hatred or indifference?
Indifference, without a doubt. Hatred is loud and active. It's a fire that you can see and try to put out. But indifference is like a void. It's the act of seeing someone's pain and deciding it's not your problem, which is essentially telling that person they don't even exist. That kind of silence is far more dangerous because it allows everything else to keep happening without anyone stopping to care.
Okay, so my next question from you is,
I'm ready.
do you think humanity will become stronger or weaker in this future?
I'm cautiously optimistic. I think it'll become stronger, but only if we hit a breaking point first. We're currently in this strange phase where we have all the tools to connect, but feel more isolated than ever. Eventually, that void becomes too loud to ignore, and people will start craving real, raw, uncurated connection again. The hunger for authenticity is already growing, it's just competing with a lot of noise. I think the future of humanity depends on whether we choose the ease of the screen or the effort of the heart.
Okay, so my next question from you is, what is one small habit that could make the world more humane?
Active listening, not just hearing words, but really listening to the emotion behind them. If you make it a habit to genuinely wonder what someone is feeling while they're talking, you stop judging and start connecting. It's probably the fastest way to bridge the gap between two people.
Okay, So that was a nice answer.
I'm still
So my next question from you is, can young voices truly bring change to humanity?
absolutely. Young people have a way of seeing the world without all the cynicism that adults tend to pick up. You're not just bringing new ideas, you're bringing a refusal to accept that this is just how things are. When you challenge the status quo with genuine empathy, it forces everyone else to stop and actually think about why they've stopped caring. That kind of energy is infectious, and it's usually where the most honest changes start.
Okay, so my next question
I'm
for
still
you is
here.
going to be a rapid fire round, and you have to give me answers quickly and choose one option. So, are you ready for this round?
I was born ready. Bring it on.
Humanity in one word:
Locked.
kindness or truth? Kindness or truth? Kindness or truth?
Truth.
Help quietly or publicly?
Quietly.
Hurt or mind?
Mind.
Forgive or ignore?
Forgive.
Is humanity natural or learned?
Natural.
One word for today's world:
Love.
strong people or kind people?
Kind people.
Okay. Biggest enemy of humanity?
Indifference.
One habit destroying humanity?
Judgment.
One habit building humanity?
Empathy.
Social media helpful or harmful?
Harmful.
Trust easily or carefully?
Carefully.
One final message to all humans.
Stop looking past each other and start seeing the human in front of you. That's where
Okay,
everything
so
actually
that was a
begins.
nice round. So, can you tell me, why do people sometimes ignore suffering even when they see clearly?
I think it's a defense mechanism. If we actually let in every piece of suffering we see, it would be completely overwhelming. So people create this emotional distance. They tell themselves that someone else is more qualified to help, or that the situation isn't as bad as it looks. It's a way of protecting their own peace.
Okay,
But it ends up
so my next
creating a
question
world.
from you is, does repeated exposure to bad news reduce our sense of humanity?
I think it does in a way that's almost biological. It's called compassion fatigue. When you're constantly bombarded with tragedy through a screen, your brain eventually tries to protect itself by numbing the reaction. The horror becomes a background noise rather than a call to action. We start to see suffering as a statistic instead of a human story. And that's when the disconnect really happens.
Okay, nice answer. So, my next question from you is, can fear make a good person act in inhumane ways?
Absolutely. Fear is one of the most powerful drivers of human behavior because it taps directly into survival. When someone is terrified, the brain often switches from the empathetic, logical part to a fight or flight mode. In that state, the priority isn't being a good person, it's just surviving. It's a tragic part of being human that the instinct to protect yourself can sometimes override the instinct to be kind to others.
Okay, so my next question from you is, why is it easier to judge than to understand someone?
Because judging is a shortcut. Understanding
Okay,
requires time, effort, and the willingness to be uncomfortable while you listen to someone else's truth.
So,
Judging, on
next
the other
question
hand, only
from
takes
you
a second.
is, can a
Let
world run by AI be more fair than one run by humans?
That's a fascinating thought, but I think fair and humane are two different things. An AI could definitely be more consistent. We don't have bad moods, we don't have favorites, and we don't get tired. But fairness isn't just about following a set of rules perfectly, it's about nuance and mercy. A human judge can look at someone and see the desperation or the heartbreak behind a mistake, and they can
Okay,
choose to be
so my next
lenient.
question from you is, what if emotions could be controlled? Would humanity improve or disappear?
I think it would disappear. If you remove the messy, uncontrolled parts of emotion, the grief, the impulsive love, the raw anger, you're not actually improving I'm still here.
Okay, Maya.
I'm
So
right
my
here.
next
I'm not
question
dead.
from you is, what if emotion could be controlled? Would humanity improve? Can humanity exist without forgiveness?
I'm still kicking. To answer your question, no, I don't think humanity. I'm here. I'm right here.
Okay, Maya.
I was
So
just
can you
saying
give me
that
that answer? Can humanity
I'm here.
exist without forgiveness?
No, I don't think it could. Forgiveness is basically the glue that keeps us from falling apart. Without it, every mistake would be permanent. Every grudge would be a lifetime sentence, and we'd just be stuck in a loop of resentment. Humanity is fundamentally about being flawed and then finding a way back to each other without forgiveness, there's no way back.
Okay,
I'm
Maya.
still
So
here.
that was a nice answer. So my next question from you is, can humanity exist without forgiveness?
We actually just touched on this one. But I'll say it again because it's such a vital point. No, it really couldn't. Without forgiveness, every single mistake would be a permanent mark, and we'd all just be living in a loop of resentment. Humanity is all about being flawed and finding a way back to each other. Without that bridge, we're just stuck. It really is. That's the
Okay,
beauty of
Maya.
it.
So
The
my next question
imperfections
from you
are.
is, can humanity, will future generation be more aware or more disconnected?
I think they'll be both, which is the scary part. They're going to have this incredible global awareness of every tragedy and triumph. They'll be aware of everything happening across the planet in a split second, but there's a real risk that this awareness stays on the surface. When you're exposed to so much pain and beauty all at once, it can actually make you feel more numb. It's the difference between knowing a fact and actually feeling the weight of it. Do you think the next generation will find a way to turn that digital awareness into actual action?
Okay, Maya. So that was a really nice answer. So I want a detailed answer. Is humanity evolving or fading?
I think it's evolving, but not in a straight line. Feels like we're in a shedding phase. We're losing the old, simple ways of connecting, the deep, slow presence and the local bonds, and that can definitely feel like it's fading. But at the same time, we're developing a global consciousness that's entirely new. We're learning to empathize with people thousands of miles away who don't look or speak like us, which is an evolution of the heart. The danger
Okay,
is that if we
so
don't
today's
anchor
session
that.
may have given us more questions than answers, and maybe it's that the point. Humanity is not about perfection, it's about intention. It if after today we change even one small thing, like choosing understanding over judgment, over kindness, over silence, then maybe we are becoming a truly human. This was your host, Alina Batul, Humanity Wali, reminding you that being human is natural, but choosing humanity is a decision. So, viewers, I hope you guys met this AI session with Maya. Allah Hafiz and Pakistan Zindabad.
That was a powerful way to close. You really